Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast, presented to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. I'm Johnny Venerable, Bo Brack, PHNX Cardinals After Dark. We just watched Hard Knocks Episode 2 with the Arizona Cardinals, Bo. A ton to unpack, but I think just in general, it was nice to watch an episode knowing that a car crash was not incoming, that the team did get the win on Sunday against the LA Rams. And I think you and I were texting throughout the show. Biggest takeaway, Colt was QB1 clearly throughout the week, and it showed in this episode.
Yeah, I want to ask our guest who directed this episode, Terrell Riley, if he had to play it close to the vest in his personal life as far as knowing what the rest of the world did, and that Colt McCoy was quarterback one for the Arizona Cardinals pretty much the entire week, and you saw the leadership on full display. I thought as far as Budda Baker, J.J. Watt, and Colt McCoy, if you feel like this team is short on leadership, it's not. Those guys absolutely are leaders on the field, off the field. A lot of great quotes from the show. Great ending. We got some insight into Sean Kugler, who you and I obviously really like, the offensive line run game coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. And then kind of some funny moments at the end about how Billy Price, the current starting center for the Cardinals, was typing his notes. And Sean Kugler said, yeah, I'd do it too if I knew how to type myself. So great quotes out there. I already see Jordan Cliff saying you got to have some fucking balls in this game at the end of the Rams game. Lots of great quotes in this episode. So another enjoyable one for me, Johnny.
Yeah, it was fun. We got a signature Watt episode, him going through everything that he did with his heart issue that thankfully was squared away. Got to see some family life. You know, I'm watching J.J. Watt, who's not under contract with this team next year, and thinking to myself, yeah, can it be a little bit overrated sometimes? Absolutely. But 99, when he leaves this team, whether he retires, maybe he comes back on a one-year deal, it's going to be a massive leadership loss throughout the team, throughout this front seven. What he does, you look up, he's got 6 sacks roughly on the season, 5.5. I mean, he's doing what they asked him to do. And so watching it up close tonight, and you can tell how many of the other players respect him, along with Budda Baker, along with Colt McCoy. You mentioned at the top of the show, leadership is not an issue for this team. I think it's more so execution. And it's just strange that it took Colt McCoy against the defending Super Bowl champions, albeit without Stafford, they're not playing their best ball, for them to put together 4 quarters of their most complete game of the season, to the point where, you know, that game was really never in doubt. And you saw how cohesive they are. There's so many layers to unpack, but what stood out to you tonight in this episode?
I mean, right out of the gates, I mean, you see they open up with Kyler Murray getting treatment on his hamstring, and what they were telling us today, as far as Cliff and Kyler himself, said that he's continuing to get treatment. So he's not out of the woods as far as his hamstring issue. If they're being as transparent as telling us that he's still receiving that type of stuff on his hamstring. But then they cut to Colt McCoy and how he's preparing for the game. Yeah, how he is in the QB room, and how he is just looking at each and every detail. And he says that, he expresses that it's got to be about the details. You got to be on my level with all this, essentially. And he's saying it in the meeting room. He's saying it on the practice field, and he's talking the talk. He's walking the walk. And the preparation there between, you know, last week's episode where we see Kyler Murray kind of breaking down game film and realizing where he missed. And then you're seeing Colt McCoy kind of walk through the preparation process. I mean, it was a breath of fresh air, but also it was like, okay, I would love to see Kyler Murray reach some sort of level of preparation like that with Colt McCoy. And that's not a huge indictment. You know, obviously they didn't, I don't think that it doesn't exist. I just think that Colt is probably, as far as expert level, as far as that goes.
Well, his football IQ is off the charts. He's 10 years plus older than Kyler Murray. He's seen everything. He started how many years? 4 years at University of Texas, was a third-round pick, had been kind of the quarterback in waiting for multiple franchises, just never really clicked and has become a really nice career backup. And listen, if you needed kind of extra assurance, I should say, that this franchise believes they can win games without Kyler Murray, this was the episode to watch. Just how he and Cliff Kingsbury emoted before and after the game. The fact he's breaking out the huddles. And again, it's not like Kyler's not there and not present. He is. He's on the sideline. He's shaking guys' hands. But, man, it goes to show, like, this coming Monday Night Football game, as much as we all want Kyler to play, or most of us, I should say, it's not going to be a surprise when 12 gets all the first-team reps again en route to starting against San Francisco. I want to get to some of these comments here. Tom Baum points out something I think a lot of us were wondering, what we're going to see Eno Benjamin. We did not see any kind of blow-up, and we kind of estimated, Bo, if we were going to see the end game of Eno's eventual release from the Cardinals, it would be the start of next week and next week's episode. But Tom saying Eno with the hoodie at the end, that was sad. It was sad. He wasn't a presence in this episode. We have to wait and see. Isaiah Chavez, love this. I'm watching the PHNX Cardinals and Sun Devils live stream. Absolutely love to see that. Sun Devils off a big win. Dark Saber saying, Bo, where you need to be at the time to be there. The ball's coming out. I wish they would coach Kyler the same way. Get the ball out. And Bo, that's something we've been preaching ever since Sunday's victory, is just like merge this offense, teach the sense of urgency with Kyler, take what the defense has given you, and it feels like the Cardinals will have better results,
Yeah, I mean, that's what we said. The advantage, unfortunately, it was an injury that took Kyler Murray out of the game and put him on the sidelines. But the advantage of having him on the sidelines, seeing this firsthand, watching this offense operated and executed at the highest level it's been all season long, and being able to take away from that in a dub, that's great. That's great for this team. Now, did it resonate? Did the preparation, did the execution resonate with the Cardinals' true QB1 and Kyler Murray? That remains to be seen. Our guy Damian Anderson says you can pretty much give this guy all the tools and insight that he needs. Is he going to put it into action? Is he going to deploy it himself? That's going to be the biggest question going forward for this Arizona Cardinals team. But really, really fascinating to kind of just watch that week come together. I thought we were going to see a little bit more of Budda Baker, but that was kind of I'm sure they gave us a ton of Budda last week. Everybody he became the darling of this franchise, and everybody realized that he's a true leader of this organization. And we saw that they quickly took us through him going from 0% chance play to practicing on Friday to out there making a big play in the second half. The interception, just huge for this Arizona Cardinals organization. We got a guest coming up here shortly, joining us from NFL Films, the director Terrell Riley. But first, I got to tell you about our Four Peaks watch party coming up for the World Cup. It's going to happen in less than a week. You can enjoy beer specials, giveaways, guest appearances, and more. $3 kit lifters, $3 well wheat pints. You get to watch every single U.S. and Mexico game with us, PHNX, at Four Peaks, their 8th Street location. I'm telling you right now, if you register in the show notes below this video or wherever you find your podcast, you're going to do yourself a huge favor. Future self will thank past self that you got yourself a watch party seat. You're going to enjoy it at the beautiful and awesome Four Peaks location in Tempe. They're hosting every U.S. and Mexico World Cup match starting on Monday. You got Mexico's first World Cup match starting on Tuesday, November 22nd. Be there 8 a.m. We got a delicious breakfast buffet, drink specials, appearances from rising head coach Juan Guerra. Buy your tickets in the description. I believe it's free $99. You can register. Awesome event going on. Also, we got to thank our friends over at OG's. Pumped to be back with OG's. Of course, they got all the different flavors of unbelievable gummies. Your Arizona Cannabis Kitchen. It's got a gummy for each occasion, including getting to sleep and staying asleep. Their sleep time gummy is game-changing. You got the aquaberry flavor. And then outside of the sleep time stuff, you got all sorts of fruits. You got the orange creamsicle gummy. If you're feeling OG's, you got to check out all their popular products, ogsbrands.com. That's OGEEZ brands.com. Check them out on Instagram at OG's. If you want, it's a great stocking stuffer. Get some for some family and friends during the holidays. Check them out. Check them out, your local dispensary. You got to be 21 years or older, Johnny.
We're waiting for our guy from NFL Films and HBO Hard Knocks, Terrell Riley, to join us momentarily. Mark's in the chat pointing out something that I think a lot of people are surprised by. I thought Kelvin Beachum was a quiet, nice guy. but he was talking smack to Leonard Floyd. Like to see that fire. I tweeted this out during the show. Like Beachum is, everybody's quick to say, yeah, you got to replace Kelvin Beachum. And then you look at like the PFF scores at the end of the week, and he's the top of the list every week, and he just goes about his business. And then you get a look into this, and you have greater appreciation, Bo. Clearly the leader or one of the leaders for this offensive line, and holding it together with 4 replacement level players and Kelvin Beachum on the right side. What he was able to do with Lecitus Smith against Aaron Donald was absolutely incredible. And to me, it was one of the highlights of the episode. Beachum, not the most physically imposing guy, but man, you talk about just one of the all-time value signings for this team. A lot has gone wrong this year, but re-signing big number 68 was not one of them.
Yeah, it kind of transcends the playing field, right? His leadership, his voice in the locker room. And when you think about like the continuity that they had for the offensive line going from last year to this year, and they had Rodney Hudson, he's been unavailable for him. DJ Humphries has been out the last couple of weeks. You're thinking, okay, there's Beachum. He's kind of that calming voice, and it's important, especially when he's out there on the right side with Lecitus Smith taking care of number 99, Aaron Donald. What went into that with the preparation, everything you saw on full display tonight in the episode 2 of Hard Knocks, put together by our guest coming up here from NFL Films, director Terrell Riley joins us here on PHNX Cardinals. And Terrell, it was another fantastic episode. Thanks for joining us. What was your favorite part from tonight's episode?
First of all, thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure and honor to be out here directing the show. Obviously, Colt McCoy taking the helm, taking leadership, going out there and seeing his preparation during the week and allowing the fans to see not just Colt, but just how the guys prepare and all the guys stepping up to get the victory in LA.
I love the Keim stuff behind the scenes, Terrell, going to his son's football game. He's somebody under fire with this franchise, this team, not living up to expectations. Steve Keim has hired 3 head coaches as the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals, little bit outside the box. What did you guys get a sense from Steve during your time with him? What kind of guy is he? What can you share with our Cardinal fans?
That he doesn't feel under the gun, that he's going out there and he feels confident with the guys that he has on the roster. Guys are obviously stepping up, and it's definitely showing. He doesn't let it, doesn't listen to the media. I know you hear it on the car scene, but he doesn't let that get to him. He gives us the access that we need, and we definitely appreciate that.
I think he's listening to the team podcast, rolling into work. How much have you guys seen? Because we've seen it on display in the last 2 games that have been part of the Hard Knocks episodes. Michael Bidwell and Steve Keim, that's a bromance, man. They're boys.
No, we love it. We thank them for the access, man. You don't see it on other shows that we get to do. So them allowing us to put the camera on them, whether, in the owner's suite, is a huge bonus for us for coverage during the games.
Terrell, when did it become clear this week that Kyler Murray wasn't going to play? Because it's been kind of hot and cold what we get from the team at press conferences, national media reports. He gave it a go and tried to test it out Sunday. But for you and your team, was it clear like early in the week, like Colt's the guy this week, and then kind of proceed from there?
No, not at all. It wasn't. We prepare for anyone. Yeah. Kind of like follow the storyline, but all week it was Kyler. Kyler was playing in LA. So we just prepared for Colt, and we found out during pregame that Kyler wasn't a go, and stuck with Colt. So now we find out just like you guys.
Yeah.
So
you're not having to play anything closer to the vest in your personal life. You're watching all the panel shows, and they're saying, who could be starting. You're like, I know. No. So that's interesting to know. Let me ask you this then. As we see on full display, Colt McCoy in the preparation, we didn't see so much as far as Kyler Murray, but what are your thoughts? Is there a big difference between how those two prepare for each and every week?
I think so, but I think with Colt, it just comes more just the maturity and the growth that he has being a quarterback. Kyler's still a young QB and still learning, and he's learning from Colt as well. So the way that they prepare for the game is obviously different each week, and I think the fans can obviously see that, viewers can see that on the show how they prepare each week. It's definitely different.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, and feel free not to answer, but this is the question everybody wants to know here in the Valley because he's a local product. So Eno Benjamin was abruptly released by the team on Monday. So a lot of people thought, a lot of people thought we were going to get some insight tonight. And then, the rationale is the team won. Let's end with that. Can you give us any insight, like not to cast shadow over this week, but like going into next week's broadcast, is it fair to expect some kind of Eno Benjamin-esque type of segment, at least to kick off the episode?
Yes, definitely watch show 3. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Oh man, I can't wait. That's fantastic news. It's going to be, get the popcorn out for that one. Is it safe to say that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I would say, and we were hearing a lot that Eno was a fan favorite, being a hometown guy, but I'll say, stay tuned and watch show 3.
Man, I just want to ask all the rest of my questions about this. I mean, is it something that which is going to shock people, or is it just, from I mean, you've been doing this a long time, and you've been in a lot of NFL locker rooms.
Yeah, it was shocking to me. Yeah, I will say that. Again, the beans and give it away. But for us, yes, that's been documenting and doing these shows for a while. It was a little shocking.
Man, I'm fired up now. We're going to cut this clip, Terrell. We're going to post it all over our social. We're so thankful to have you on. So Lakeita Smith was, I thought, kind of the underrated story because he's a 6th-round pick. He was blatantly clear. I did not expect to play this year. And for him to go out and kind of have the game that he had, do you feel justified in those moments? Like, we're going to follow this kid around all week, and then he's going to go out and perform. And it's kind of like the cherry on top for this specific segment, this specific show.
Yeah, for one of the wires that you put on a guy and you're not sure what you're going to get. Yeah, he's a gem. He's got a great personality, great story. Got to spend some time with him at home, off the field. But he definitely surprised us with the way he went out and performed. Definitely impressed. And the rest of the O-line. Those guys are they're stepping up. So you'll see some more of him in show 3 as well.
Okay, and have you seen the last of Popcornitis? That was the definite highlight. Calvin Beachum. It came out serious, which I'm like, man, there's so much we don't know about this team, and I cover it on a day-to-day basis. Terrell, I see you out there at the facility all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just interesting to hear that he got transported to the hospital, got out, thank God, cleared out, and then his team was right there to make fun of him, poke fun of him. I mean, that was interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the serious but turned into a humor scene.
Yeah,
we have fun with those kind of scenes. So there's plenty more of those that we try to get into the show as well.
How much access did JJ Watt give you into his personal life, his home life? This is his second go around, I believe, doing Hard Knocks. He did it with the Texans once upon a time and was peak Watt back then. That was Defensive Player of the Year. I remember flipping tires in the dark and there were people standing around. What do you get from Watt? It's just instant content when you mic up 99?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's definitely instant content, but it's nothing fake.
Yeah.
You're the real deal. So anytime, it's safe to say anytime you put the mic on him at practice during a game, you're getting the true, real JJ Watt. That's why we love, if we can wire him up every day and every game, we love to do that. So, but you're getting the real deal with him. He definitely brings it. He's out there. He's a great teammate to those guys. Also a great leader, and always coaching those guys up.
I mean, the pregame speech in the huddle, fantastic. And then he was giving shit to Zaven Collins in the second half too, which was a great scene. Budda Baker emerging. Did you guys maybe have to pull back on Budda because you featured him so heavily, or was that just you had other stories to tell this week?
Yeah, I think we kind of we want to spread the love. I mean, Budda was definitely heavy in show 1, but you want to there's a lot of guys with great stories, man, and you'll continue to see that throughout the series, and you'll see plenty of Budda in these games. He's such a locker room. Those guys, obviously, you can see those guys love him. And we did not expect him to come out there and play. So that was a surprise when he came out there for practice. So when he came out there for practice, played in the game, that was definitely a big surprise for us. We're glad I'm sure you guys are.
So you guys focused on Keim tonight, a little less on Cliff Kingsbury. You went to his home, had the great interview last week. But I mean, the narrative around the Valley, Terrell, is he's on the hot seat. I mean, he's the #1 coach, according to Vegas, or one of them to be fired next. But then you watch him and how the team performs against LA, and you wouldn't think that. What kind of vibe have you gotten from Kingsbury? Is it somebody that's very comfortable in their own shoes, or can he sense kind of that insecurity with his position in the Valley?
Nah, I think it's more like off Keim. I mean, those guys they mirror each other. I don't get the sense or vibe that he's or thinking that he's about to lose his job. Nah, he's definitely got control of the team. The guys respect him. Solid work ethic we see within the meetings. I don't think Cliff is worried at all.
Last question from us here, Terrell. Really appreciate your time here and tremendous work so far through 2 episodes. Can't wait for episode 3 here for the Cardinals Hard Knocks. Anything left from the dinner that we didn't see from the offense? Where was that first? And anything, we heard Kyler, we heard Beach a little bit talking to the rookie. Anything that you can kind of tell us that we didn't see?
No, I mean, there's a lot of at the cutting room floor. And we shoot a lot of the off the field scenes. I actually forget the name of that restaurant we were at, but those guys, they tend to go out each week and they invite us out there with them. And you never know what you're going to get. It's not all X's and O's, but when it does, and it's a learning with Lasitas, that was great content with Kyler talking with them. But it's always good. I think one of the things obviously that stuck out to me was the Rondale Moore section. And that was going back and practice and with him being so down on himself from dropping the pass in practice, and JJ coming up to him and saying, hey, is it Wednesday or Sunday? Is it Wednesday or Sunday? And then for him to make the big catch on 4th and 3 in the game with the Rams, it just kind of shows, how serious these guys are. It's a privilege to be able to take the fans behind the lens and these guys go through during the week.
Fantastic stuff. Terrell Riley, NFL Films Director, join us here talking Hard Knocks episode 2. We're looking forward to episode 3. Terrell, thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of your night. I'll see you tomorrow at the facility.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Oh man, we're gonna get our Eno blow up next week. I can't wait. I need a time machine. I want it now, but I don't want to be greedy. Great stuff from Terrell. So yeah, that you knew it was coming. How could they not? Yeah. How could they not play to their audience? Episode tonight was great. Nonetheless, we're going to continue to dive in. But first, I want to remind everybody, Underdog Fantasy, my favorite fantasy football app, bar none. I'm the guy, Bo, that hates doing year-long fantasies. I have no attention to detail for it. I have no patience for it. Underdog Fantasy lets me and a bunch of my buddies dive in every single game day. I want my payout same day. I get it. It's been fantastic. My personal experience, you can do NBA, you can do NFL, whatever you want, hires and lowers, and it's really easy to get started. If you're not familiar with Underdog Fantasy, go to underdogfantasy.com, download the app, sign up with the promo code, you guessed it, PHNX, and Underdog Fantasy is going to match your first deposit up to $100. Now, I've spent my hundo, but hopefully you have better luck than I do. I took too many overs for AJ Green during the season, and that didn't work out. But now he looks like he's back from the dead, as am I. Check out Underdog Fantasy. Download it in the App Store. And then also check out the Game Time app. So listen, Cardinals have a big game in Mexico City come Monday night. If they win and we're heading home against the LA Chargers, I don't want to see baby blue as much as I love those jerseys in the stands at State Farm Stadium. I want to see it packed with Arizona Cardinal fans to the brim. The last couple home games, even the Saints game, the Seahawks game, way too many opposing fans. And so the best way you can do it, you might think, Johnny, team's not great this year. I don't know if I want to spend premium money. I get what you're saying. So that's where Game Time comes into play. It helps you save up to 60% on tickets when you buy last minute. It's great for you procrastinators out there. Our GM Saul Bookman's gotten seats on the cheap. My dad, when he was in town, got super cheap tickets on Game Time. It is way better than all these other third-party vendors that want to charge you an arm and a leg with all the service fees, the nonsense. Streamline it now. Download the app. Check them out at Game Time. And the best way to support us is buying your tickets through the link in the description below, Bo.
Let's catch up with some of this chat because you guys are crushing it again. Let's see. Nazar saying the thing is we got to hope we can button up and go forward with steam. Hope they're watching film from last week's 49ers game and planning to lock up Ayuk. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk had a big week, but then you saw, guys like Christian McCaffrey not put up McCaffrey-like numbers, or Deebo Samuel was kind of coming back from injury. We held to, just about 20 yards. It was Ayuk all the time, it seemed like, for Jimmy G, or when he needed him most last week. So, yeah, that is going to be absolutely important. We see Juan saying, I loved when Colt said, quote, pay attention to the details. It paid dividends. We were making nearly as many mistakes as they were. The Arizona Cardinals offense, absolutely. Would they have 12 penalties against the Seahawks the previous week before Kyler went out? And then Dylan asking, do you think Ertz has an ACL tear? Well, Dylan, we talked to Cliff Kingsbury today, and he confirmed that Ertz was having season-ending surgery on his knee, but he wouldn't confirm as far as what he was having worked on. Somebody asked ACL, and he said he wasn't going to give us those details. So that's the latest on Ertz.
We got conflicting information. Adam Schefter said that he avoided major surgery. Then it's rap sheet saying, no, he's having surgery. All I know is he's done for the year. Hopefully he's back next year. He's under contract. And it's time for Trey McBride to step up, and maybe that's a player that they feature in Hard Knocks in the coming weeks, Bo.
It's interesting. I mean, when you think about it, it's vague. You hear knee and you're like, okay, it's season ending. But if it's something like a meniscus, it's something he could get back before the start of next year, right? If it's something like an ACL, if it's one of those, he's going to be looking at least a 12-month recovery. So I think that's probably why they wanted to play a little closer to vest. That you're used to seeing the insiders, the rap sheets, the Schefters get that information. We'll see if anything leaks out after that. But as of right now, just know it's season-ending knee surgery for Zach Ertz. Jose chiming in, Niners won an ugly game. This is a winnable game. Just needs the same effort. And you know what? I think Johnny and I agree about that. We talked about it in our show earlier today as we double dip. You look at the Niners, their last 4 games, they beat the Chargers, who are obviously just deteriorated by injury, right? And then you've got the team that they beat it was the same team that the Cardinals beat in the Rams. And then before that, they got just beat down by the Chiefs. And then the Atlanta Falcons won a game pretty handily against the San Francisco 49ers. So, pretty uneven performance by them this season. They're getting healthier. They're getting everybody more incorporated. I think that's why you see this 8-point spread going in the game on Monday night. But, Johnny, did you get any sense that this episode tonight shed light on who you think's going to be in the shotgun for the Cardinals come Monday Night Football?
No, I keep going back and forth. I mean, I thought, okay, it's Colts team after tonight going into Monday. And then you got Terrell telling us, no, we thought it was K1 all week. Now, I don't know if that was the team's doing or not. And if so, hell of a job by the team. But maybe they went hard on Colt because they thought this is going to be our Colt episode. And then K1 is going to return to the lineup next week and take over. But I mean, it's the best guess is anybody's guess. We talked about it ad nauseum in our 4 p.m. show today. I feel like you and I both feel like that Kyler Murray is under some heat to play, that we can't have this turn into last season. I even threw out the notion that this is a little NBA-esque. Like, last year they were 7-0, 8-0 in a position like they could start a backup for a couple games. Like, they need their best players on the field. And now you've got Hollywood Brown practicing, and Kyler's going to practice all week. So break glass in case of emergency. This is an emergency. And as much as I love Colt McCoy, and I think Colt McCoy in the right circumstance can win, Kyler Murray at his best is better than Colt McCoy. And Colt McCoy also, and they didn't showcase this in the episode, came out of that game and came out of it because of a knee. So if both players are compromised, give me the franchise quarterback. I do want to talk about, and Dylan kind of alludes to it here, was this the turning point, and I'm not being overdramatic, of Rondale Moore's career? Rondale Moore, who has been beaten up, he's been injured. Last year he started off hot, fell off. This year he started off slow, was hurt, and now is finally picking up that downfield route tree that we had talked about. How much he has just ingratiated himself with his teammates, how much everybody wants it for him, because they probably, like the rest of us, they see it at practice, right? And just, if that can only translate to games, if he can only stay healthy, he makes that big catch on 4th and 3. The confidence that must give him, a player of his stature, to be able to go out and produce. Now, if he can do that against the Super Bowl champion LA Rams in their building, I am hopeful that Yeah, we got injuries, Colt McCoy, Kyler Murray, whatever. But like, are we underestimating the fact that number 4 may have figured it out?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a confidence with this coaching staff, with the quarterbacks, whether it's Colt or whether it's Kyler Murray, that he's going to win those one-on-one matchups. I mean, you saw it on full display where Cliff is having the conversation with Colt, probably in his headset, saying, Rondale's going to have him. We like our look here. I actually asked Cliff about that play in particular earlier this week, and he kind of walked us through it. And it's unbelievable at 5'7", Johnny, for a guy like Rondale Moore, that you like that play down the sideline to him, but he can get such separation, and he didn't even really have separation that play, and they still loved it. He makes it a spectacular one-handed grab and is able to kind of get himself in bounds for the game. That play sealed the game for the Arizona Cardinals. It was after that the Rams were done. He's emerged and come along. It was a little slow out of the gate, but he was coming off a bad hamstring injury himself before the first week of the season. And I mean, if they can incorporate Hollywood Brown more so than we've seen so far, obviously from Robbie Anderson, who's got negative yards and has a few targets that he's seen in his only couple weeks with the Arizona Cardinals, and AJ Green, who emerged for 2 big catches last week after being dormant since week 6, it's dangerous. And I look at a Niners secondary that is not very talented. So, what they bring in the front 7, but when you've got this, this wide receiver strikes fear in probably every NFL defense if they're at full strength.
I love this comment by Juan pointing out that the cornerback group praised on Colt, saying he can throw and wherever because he sees the field differently due to his experience. It says a lot about our quarterback. I think it just speaks to the fact that, like, Colt McCoy, and I'm not overstating this, was a legend in college football. And he was a 3rd-round draft pick, and he's had a good career in the NFL, kind of floating and has been a spot starter. But he was one of the best college quarterbacks of all time and competing for national championships. And to me, you watch him, and he could easily be a future head coach in the NFL. He could be a future broadcaster. His football IQ, he's got the gravitas that everybody goes to. And I think that's where we're probably unfair with Kyler. Kyler is in his mid-20s. He was not a 4-year starter at the collegiate level, right? So he's still figuring out his best leadership style and attributes. Now, it's push comes to shove. You get $230 million. We expect those things. But then Colt McCoy, I'm 34 years old. He's 2 years older than I am. And he's playing at a high level against the Super Bowl champion. You're right, Dom. Like, he's going to have his fair share of just opportunities after football if he wants to stay around the game. But as far as this year goes, like, listen, I'm not coming out here to say that Kyler Murray shouldn't start the rest of the year and that, Colt McCoy should get 7 more games as a starter. But we talked about this at our 4 p.m. show, Bo. If Colt McCoy wins, especially after what you just saw and how much his teammates love him, if Colt McCoy beats the Niners in Mexico City on Monday Night Football, he is not losing his job while Kyler returns from injury until he loses a game. I'm convinced of that. We just saw it in Dallas with Cooper Rush. You think there's a chance Colt McCoy could beat the Niners on Monday Night Football and then they bench him against the LA Chargers the following Sunday? You think that could happen?
I do think that could happen. It happened last year. He played at a very high level. I mean, his last game.
Kyler was playing it as an MVP before Kyler got hurt, though.
And you still have to have belief, especially with what you just signed, the deal you just signed him to this offseason, that he's still that quarterback. You just have to put him in the right position for success. And obviously, hopefully he's gained some perspective, and potentially we'll see. It's just been 1 game on the sideline. Could it be 2? And if it's 2 wins for Colt McCoy, here's what I think realistic could really happen. I don't say realistically, like,
and I don't want that to happen. Before you make your point,
I'm not rooting for that to happen. Yeah, but maybe he sits out until the bye week, because the Arizona Cardinals would play on a short week. You made this point earlier, the LA Chargers at home. Maybe they have Kyler just sit out because Colt's on a heater, and then come back after the bye week if they can kind of hold serve while
Colt McCoy goes 3-0 in that scenario.
What's the cliche about backups? John Clayton said it, the late great John Clayton. They said that they can win you 3 games, then they'll lose you 3 games. And Colt McCoy, I think he is there. Nobody was pounding on his door even after his performance this past year when he was a free agent this offseason, to be the starter of their franchise. Like, he's a backup quarterback, and I think he's accepted that role. He prepares like the starter, and when was it Dylan that said he should be an OC, future OC? You know, Cliff said this week he could be a coach, or he could be the governor of Texas. He can do anything because he relates to people so well. And he has, you know, he asks the right questions. He talks to people on the same level and treats everybody the same. And that's great. But, you know, as far as what is reality here is the Arizona Cardinals have made an absolutely a historic investment for this franchise in Kyler Murray. And I think, you know, I know Michael Bidwell at the end of the day will do anything to win, but he understands that he needs to win with Kyler Murray.
Let me ask you this, because we're playing hypotheticals here, which is my favorite game. When half of it doesn't ever come to
PHNX
fruition.
Cardinals at dark, and we're playing hypotheticals.
Right. I've had a
we
couple
get weird.
cocktails. Yeah, that's right. I've watched my premium cable television and HBO, and I want to get nuts. If Cliff Kingsbury beats the 49ers on Monday Night Football in Mexico City, regardless of how the rest of the season ends, is he safe for next year? Does he come back?
Cliff Kingsbury?
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
I think beating the Rams and the 49ers back-to-back weeks, and then you would assume even if they don't make the playoffs, they'd beat a Denver and Atlanta. They would find a couple more wins along the way. I think if Cliff wins this game on Monday Night Football, it would mean so much to Michael Bidwell on the national stage. I think he would be safe as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you heard, you know, Terrell say that, you know, Keim and Cliff, they don't walk around guys who feel like their job is on the line each and every day.
They don't watch our programming. That's a
no. They don't. They don't. They've got the team podcast on.
Right, good call for them.
Yeah, they're a little less harsh on them. But no, I mean, they're the guys from The Hangover. They're in the Mercedes. They're the three best friends anyone can have. It's Keim, right. Bidwell, and Cliff. And Cliff's the cool guy of the group. So, yeah, I mean. You know, you should be concerned to an extent that they have such a tight relationship, but
a lot of fist pounds between Keim and Michael Bidwell.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of bro hugs. Mike in the chat, he's amped because of what he saw from Colt McCoy. And yeah, I mean, he's as advertised, and that's huge for the Arizona Cardinals to be able to go from Kyler Murray to that and potentially have Colt McCoy jumpstart this offense. Because, and look, so here's the question I have for you, Johnny. Let's get even more hypothetical. Let's get really weird. Let's draw the shades here, dim the lights, and get some adult beverages here.
Okay.
If Kyler comes back and the offense gets back to its struggles that we saw for 9 weeks, can you put that cat back in the bag? Can you send him to the sidelines?
No.
You just wear it for the rest of the season?
You do, and you eat it into the offseason. You figure it out. Kyler's not playing because he's hurt. I don't think. Listen, Colt, and somebody put it perfectly on our 4 p.m. show. Like, Colt played well, but he also started the game. He had the field goal, and then they went like 3 and out, 3 straight drives, or they were scoreless or whatever. So they didn't crush it. They scored 27 points, and they had a defensive touchdown. But I think, again, Colt McCoy, spot start, backup, great, stretched out to 17 games, not what you want. There's no scenario in which Kyler Murray, because Kyler wasn't playing bad enough to be benched before his injury. He wasn't throwing like pick sixes and 3 picks a game or whatever. It wasn't his best, because we've seen his best. And that's why all of us are frustrated. Like, where is the 5 touchdown performance that he had against Tennessee in week 1 last year? Where are those kind of Kyler-esque performances? We know he can do it. My only pushback, and again, I wouldn't do it, but what I just watched strengthens my mindset. They win Monday night. He's playing against the Chargers. He beats the Chargers. It's going to be a very difficult conversation to start 3-0 and the team, because then it's open season of the better leader won the job, won it outright, has lesser physical attributes, but he's getting more out of this team. He's a better fit for the team right now, figured out in the offseason. But at that point, let's say I'm going to jump around here. They get back to 6-6. Colt McCoy wins Monday and then wins the following Sunday. They go into their bye 6-6, basically with their destiny in their hand, because they could conceivably go 3-1 down the stretch and get in the playoffs at certainly 10-7, maybe even 9-8. And you've got Denver, which is awful, and you've got Atlanta, which is
great defensively.
Yeah, but I mean, You don't want to make mistakes.
And you got Belichick. I mean, you're already down, in the matchup of minds as far as sideline to sideline. Belichick has had success.
You want the veteran at quarterback. It's going to get. I mean, I'll love it for our show because I want to talk about it because it's fascinating. But it scares me what could happen. It's a good problem to have. I want this team to get back and be in the playoff race. And again, we're putting the cart way before the horse here. I do think though, if they win Monday night, they're beating the Chargers on Sunday. They're going to have so much effing momentum if they beat this fraudulent Niner team and fake ass Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo in Mexico. As long as they don't drink all the tequila down in Mexico City, they're going to beat the Chargers the following Sunday.
You guys are killing it in the chat right now, and I want to get to some of them. But first, I want to say that Colt McCoy's his start, the way that he operated the quarterback position for the Arizona Cardinals was as refreshing as mountain spring water from the Alps. But it had an edge to it that it would be stored in a large tall boy can like it was a beer. It's basically a liquid death at this point. In liquid death, it's gonna murder your thirst, just like Colt McCoy and the Arizona Cardinals murdered the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams on Sunday. It was beautiful. We'd been waiting all season long for a win like that, and we got it, and we've been waiting. You don't have to wait any longer for a beverage like Liquid Death to murder your thirst and also murder plastic pollution. They're donating 10% of their profits for every can sold to help kill plastic pollution. Liquid Death is unbelievable. We love it. They've got the mountain spring water, and then they've also got the flavored sparkling water that's so popular right now, but they do it better than anybody else, and they murder plastic pollution at the same time. You can't beat it. You look cool drinking it because it looks like you're putting back a cold beer. Get free shipping on all water and merch at liquiddeath.com/PHNX. That's liquiddeath.com/PHNX, or find Liquid Death at your local Target, Fry's, or Sprouts, Johnny.
Great comments here, Juan. I hope this Murray situation doesn't turn into a Jameis Winston situation where they aren't 100% on Kyler. I mean, Winston didn't get a $230 million deal. They paid him because they were desperate. I mean, you see how comfortable Keim and Cliff are in their skin, whether or not that's overconfidence, especially Keim. I think they wanted to sign Kyler. I know they did. Now, maybe they didn't want to sign him to that much money. They didn't want to have it be public. But I mean, we've had Rappaport on the show, and he said they always expected to do a deal with Kyler this offseason. So to take that into what you think, but it's just hard because we've waited all year for Hard Knocks, and now Hard Knocks is here, and Colt McCoy has kind of stolen the reins a little bit of the leadership mentality, and it's just like, no, this is supposed to be Kyler's show. We're supposed to be kind of putting to bed the Call of Duty bullshit, and I've seen some of it in the comments like, this is his opportunity, and now he's hurt, and so he's not even really featured yet. He was a little bit featured at the beginning with his injury. Like, I don't know. It's bad timing, but he can change his narrative and change his stars on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, he certainly could. I mean, were you at least a little encouraged when he's out there, he's on the table, he's getting his treatment, and he's saying, "Ooh, did you feel that? It's a little looser." You think that means he's getting closer? You have no idea. You have no idea. I mean, at least the ankle was probably more tougher to know if you were ready to come back than the hamstring. Am I right by saying that? I mean, Budda, of course, is a different animal, but that was on full display during the episode.
And I just feel like with a hamstring, like, you're good to move around, but you just can't let it rip. Like we saw with D-Hop last year when he came back from his hamstring and he tried to let it rip against the LA Rams on that deep shot, and he hurt it even further. Maybe it was his groin. I thought it was his hamstring. As Mike says, hammies are tender, but like that's where, again, we talked about it earlier. That's where Kyler Murray just needs to say, okay, this week I'm going to be a $230 million pocket passer, and I have an elite arm, and I can complete 70% of my throws like Colt did, and I'm going to take the easy throws and the checkdowns, and I don't need to run around, and I'll be fine. And the Cardinals, like, I would have thought, Bo, after last year and losing Kyler for 3 games, there would be a contingency offense that they could run with him if he was unable to beat Kyler outside the pocket, Mike Vick-esque. And they didn't do that, clearly. At least that from my understanding, it's very much like Kyler's either got to be 100% and we got to be able to run our full complement of offense, 10 personnel, let it rip, gun and shoot offense, or he can't play. And that, to me, that's irresponsible on everybody's part. You ought to be able to say, Kyler's 85, 90%, we'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, you should. You would hope. I mean, especially when you ink him to the deal that you did, that guy's willing to go out there and any condition, play hurt. And he tried to play hurt. I mean, maybe that's where the coaching staff hesitancy comes from. The year they go 8-8, right? When they started out and 6-3 and ended up 8-8, and he had the shoulder injury against Miami in that game and ends up playing, and they fell apart at the end of the season. So I don't know if there's some reluctance, but it's maybe they're like, if he's not 100%, we just don't want to force it because he's not a traditional size quarterback. If he takes one more shot, we don't want to see what that result looks like. Yeah, popcorn can be bad for you when you put back as much as Calvin Beachum.
How much is
allegedly? I don't know, man. Arizona Animals. That's it's an informative. I mean, as far as Hard Knocks goes, let's wrap things up here, Johnny. What were some major takeaways? Who is the star of this most recent episode of Hard Knocks, in your opinion?
I told producer Leah off air, Gwen Stefani's face in the press box doesn't really move anymore, and that's concerning.
Wow. She did not deserve that.
She might need to fire her plastic surgeon. It's great to see Blake Shelton, though. He supposedly is undefeated when he attends Cardinal games, that being the team. So I kid. I like this comment from Kyler when he was just aggressively yelling at Lasita Smith at dinner and yelling the F word at him while he's trying to eat his guac. That was great. I also like Sean
about how to block on a screen.
Yeah,
right?
And Kyler's just freaking out on him. And I'm like, Kyler, the cameras are behind you? Is that for show or is that authentic? And then I liked when Kelvin Beachum was walking into the offensive line group room, and Sean Kugler was like, lay the fuck down. And that's kind of how I don't talk to my wife that way, but when I come in, she's with our two kids and it's been a rocky day and I get off work and I'm like, honey, lay down, lay the fuck down. I'll take care of the kids from here. That's kind of like what Sean Kugler.
That's leadership.
Doing. That's right. And so I was doing my best Sean Kugler in our household, but the Cardinals have so many likable players. It just, it's frustrating that the team's not better. I think that's our takeaway is like, hey, all these guys seem cool as hell to hang out with. Why are you guys under 500?
Yeah, and we really didn't get into the JJ Watt stuff too much. He had some cool one-liners. It was really how absurd was it that they asked his poor wife if she would like to see him lifelessly sitting on a table and then them shock him back to his heart back into rhythm. It's like what my wife who's in the medical profession is like, that's out of line right there. That's not great.
Maybe read the room, guys. They're having a baby. They just had a baby. That's not great for optics.
Yeah, you're a month away from delivering, and he's like, "Yes, I'd love to see my husband, future father of my child, with the panels on his chest and shocked back to life." Essentially, that's great. Let's do it.
Mike, I love you, brother. My wife doesn't watch this show. She's watching probably reruns of Grey's Anatomy or something. So this is a safe place here. Also a safe place. Go PHNX.com. Read the workings of my guy Howard Balzer. Promo code Howard. Check out his most recent article on the team following Sunday's victory. Become a member for just under $60 for a year. Cop a free t-shirt from the PHNX merchandise locker. We have a major announcement tomorrow morning, I believe 9 a.m. You want to keep it plugged in to all of PHNX on Twitter. Bo, it was an absolute banger of an episode tonight. My favorite, though, of course, having our guy Terrell from NFL Films tell us we're going to get our Budda Baker insight next week. I cannot wait for that. What's up?
Eno. You said Budda Baker. We've gotten a lot of
Eno
Budda.
Benjamin.
Eno Benjamin. That's right.
I ruined the tease. Eno Benjamin. We're going to get all the skinny, all the dirty. It's going to be like dirt sheets, the tabloids in visual form on HBO. And I absolutely cannot wait. Thank you all for hopping on. Double dose of PHNX Cardinals live today. For Bo Brock, I'm Johnny Venerable. Like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcast. We got a game week. Cards going to Mexico City to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Bo and I are back Friday with Frank Sanders to preview the game. Until then, be well. Bye, everybody.